Perfect, guys. Welcome. Welcome again. Good to see many repeats.
Hey, Amit.
Hey,
Hey,
what's up?
Hey Amit, hey Amit.
Hey, Danu. What's
Yeah.
up, Pete?
Hello.
Hey, what's up? Hi, Akhilesh.
hey, Amit.
All right, so there's like a short gallery. Everybody get on gallery view, get to see each other. We'll put ourselves in a small breakout room as well, so that you guys can get introduce yourself to each other as well. So I see a lot of my colleagues from WoW and socially here as well. Great. All right. So Shalin, Hemal, Vishal, Karsh, Sid, Sharvari, what's up, people? Lakshay, welcome again. Khushbu, Joss, Himal, Harsh, Asit, Anup, everybody. If I've missed somebody, then I'm sorry, but we'll keep chatting throughout the day. So thank you once again taking time out on Saturday afternoon. To learn something new and possibly have some interesting discussions, interactions together. So let me share my screen, briefly introduce myself, do a quick recap, and also lay some ground rules for the next couple of hours. Let me just share my screen. So last time we tried a very hands-on approach and totally destroyed timelines. So there are a bunch of things that we did end up covering. Um, which we'll do a quick recap of. So we covered what fundamental problem did Bitcoin end up solving, or blockchain technology as it emerged. What was it that was previously unsolved in the world that really made it such a disruptive force that it is today? We spoke a little about evolution of money. We actually spoke about how bitcoins are mined, how they are created, what is the entire process behind the scenes that was deployed, and if you were Satoshi Nakamoto, how would you go ahead and build your own protocol, which are the set of rules that you would define towards creating your own chain to achieve the objectives that you had set. So hopefully that was simple. We went a little technical, looking into how these blocks are generated and how something that is recorded on a blockchain literally becomes immutable. So we have the entire network, which is validating every single transaction that gets recorded on the blockchain. And blockchain by itself, what does it really mean? So it is not just the distributed ledger. It is a combination of all the different software and the logic and the algorithms that make this whole network work as a seamless entity. So the creation of blocks, the distributed ledger itself, the consensus algorithms which take and the mechanisms that take care of distributing all these messages across the network, etc. The transactions, the nodes which actually combine all these transactions together, and they start competing for solving a mathematical puzzle. And then once they have solved it, they append this list of transactions, their solution, and also the proof that the first X number of bits are going to be a zero, and submitting it and broadcasting it back into the network. And this, when accepted and validated by all the other peers, it ends up getting finalized as a block every 10 minutes or so in the block in the Bitcoin blockchain. And this entire gamut of things happening behind the scenes is kind of called blockchain technology, not just the distributed ledger. So we're going to possibly cover, how the blockchain works again, more specifically how it works in case of Ethereum. But before we dig deep, it leaves. There are a bunch of things, by the way, which we didn't cover. I just made a note of it. We didn't cover, Bitcoin's journey and like how it really evolved. Though there were some stories that we got to cover, advances in cryptography, digicash, etc. Then we didn't go into the story of Satoshi Nakamoto and who it could probably be, because that's a really, really interesting conversation. Where's Bitcoin being used? I think everybody already uses it, but there are some very interesting use cases, especially with Lightning that has come on right now, Lightning Network. which we've not gotten into, and uh, Bitcoin as a potential reserve currency for the world. Now that has huge implications and possibly some backlashes. So let me just get into full screen mode. Are you able to see the screen full screen right now?
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Perfect. So now, given that the double spend problem was solved with Bitcoin, and we were able to eliminate banks as middlemen, it begged the question: what else could blockchain technology really help us automate? Where else could we utilize blockchains to remove intermediaries? Any ideas? Any thoughts? Of course, now that it's retrospective, so you don't really have to guess too much. So let me not invoke that question, but it was in very many different areas. If we see, the whole internet was designed to be decentralized, but actually is very, very centralized. So all social media networks centralized, news centralized, taxis that we end up, utilizing these days, centralized, Ola, Uber, etc. Files need to be shared, emails that need to be delivered. Large majority of the any kind of goods that need to be purchased or sold, all of these things are centralized. The biggest companies, of course, are have in the world today by market capitalization have actually leveraged this whole force of the internet to become the big companies that they are today, typically FANG companies. But all of these could literally end up being decentralized, and that is something that led a thin, skinny boy in ninth grade who was actually running the Bitcoin magazine in Canada, from Canada, proposing to the group of Bitcoin developers in early 2012 that, guys, we need to bring in more programmability into Bitcoin. So he proposed this idea. Some people were very, very strict. So Bitcoin developers have historically been, very focused that, hey, Bitcoin should do this, only this, and in this kind of a way. But this guy wasn't convinced. So he actually published a white paper that, this we could literally utilize this technology in a fantastic way if we could let this decentralized network execute programs instead of just keeping a record of transactions. So if instead of transactions on the blockchain, we could store programs themselves, and we could construct this decentralized network like a big supercomputer that is capable of executing these programs, then there will be so many possibilities that could open up. So this skinny guy was called Vitalik Buterin, who everybody knows today. If by any chance people don't know, that's how he looks. Okay, and yeah, he was a pretty young guy and pretty brilliant for his age as well. So by 2013, he had proposed the solution. By 2014, many of these implementations had actually come out, and there were some interesting things that emerged from the same. So in a nutshell, what he proposed and created is called Ethereum, and it's often confused with the Ether. So Ethereum is not a cryptocurrency. Ethereum is this entire blockchain, the entire network, pretty similar to the Bitcoin network. But in Bitcoin is all network. Bitcoin is also called the currency. In the Ethereum network, the currency is called Ether, and Ethereum is the name of the network itself. So when we hear the word Ethereum, some of the things that come to our mind are world computer, digital currency, smart contracts, EVM, dApps, etc., etc. And we'll just dig into what each of these things are. So in a nutshell, Ethereum is an open source software platform based on blockchain technology that enables anybody to build and deploy decentralized applications. Okay. What is a dApp? It is a decentralized application. It's a type of program designed to exist on the internet in a way that it is not controlled by any single entity. I'm reading from the definition over here because parts of the definition are very, very important, and that is what truly make it very disruptive. So them not being immutable because they are recorded on a blockchain is a very big property. Them not being controlled by any single entity is a very big property because it cannot, there's no reversibility that is possible. Okay, and of course them being executed on the basis of an external trigger is a fantastic ability that blockchains were able to create. Then uh, why is it also called the world computer? Primarily because these small programs, once recorded, can be executed. What does a computer do? It takes in a program. There's a space in it to store that program. It has a computing power in the form of a processor, which can read the program and compile it, take its result, publish the result. All right. So in that sense, we can think of Ethereum as a very large supercomputer of sorts with so many different interconnected nodes that are all working together. Every transaction key is validated and verified from by the peers, pretty similar to Bitcoin, but except that whole transaction, which was A transfers X amount of Bitcoin to B being recorded, it is literally some amount of code that is being recorded over here. So we'll go a little into uh, how Ethereum works later on, but let's look at why should we end up using Ethereum in the first place, and what are the bigger problems that it ends up solving. Autonomy is pretty much understood because there's no need of an intermediary. Transparency, everything that is recorded on the blockchain will inevitably be visible to every single node on the blockchain, and hence the possibility of conning the system, or anybody who's trying to hack or attack a particular transaction or a program, or X amounts that need to be transferred to a particular individual, that transaction will get rejected because so many other nodes or peers are validating it. Those of you who are participating for the first time, and if some of these concepts are not making sense, I'll share a video with you at the end of this, because what we did in the previous session was break down things in a very simplistic way of how a blockchain ends up working. So I'm not repeating all of that, but hopefully by the time we cover today's session, none of this thing will be, all of these things will be fairly easy to understand again. Backup. I do not know if this is totally accurate. Savings, accuracy, we'll come to these when we talk more about use cases. So some of the widely used spaces, areas where Ethereum dApps have become very, very popular are banking, doing anything that is slightly private, creating a real, true, decentralized peer-to-peer network, resisting censorship, handling different kinds of transactions, and being able to really create a lot of tokens. Tokens by themselves have such amazing utility that there is a lot can happen between different kind of Ethereum tokens. This is a more detailed description of what I just ended up sharing. Instead of reading it out, I will let you guys read it. So the next thing is, in a blockchain, it is very important, pardon the background noise at my side.
Amit, can you just move to the previous slide? I can read some of it.
Oh, sure. Let me know once you're done.
Awesome. Thank you.
We'll just wait a moment for others. And thank you so much for stopping me and asking me to go back.
I just have a question regarding the previous slide. So there is an application and there is the payment for it. Are these two always connected for any application, or you could just have the application running and the payment process could be the regular payment processes integrated into this application?
Technically speaking, in a blockchain, it's not necessary to have a payment process be associated or tied up with an application too. But in public blockchains, it is more or less mandated. Why so? Because public blockchains require people who are maintaining the network to be paid, and the best way to pay them is via its own native cryptocurrency, right? So almost all public blockchains will end up having their own. So not almost all, every single native public blockchain will end up having its own cryptocurrency. Hyperledger, Fabric, etc. are private blockchains, and that's why they don't really need it because there's no motivation or incentive for anybody to maintain that blockchain in the absence of this cryptocurrency-based reward. So in Bitcoin, you to maintain the Bitcoin network, you get Bitcoins, which you can. So if you've been able to cryptographically solve the puzzle, which essentially is finding a number which when appended to the so you have a list of transactions, about 2,400 odd of them. You will find a new number, which is a fairly large number, which when appended with this and some other details creates a cryptographic hash, which has the first X number of bits as a 0. That's all that it needs to do. But to do this, there is no standard way of figuring it out. You just need to do a brute force, trying every number, generating that hash, cryptographic hash, and seeing whether the initial number of bits are zeros or not. They keep doing it again and again. And the number of bits that need to be 0 effectively are programmatically designed in such a way that somebody should be able to solve it within 10 minutes. Now in Ethereum, this is 15 seconds, 17 seconds, right? So many more people are able to typically generate solve that puzzle. It's a similar kind of puzzle, but they're able to solve this puzzle much sooner. It leads to a slightly different problem in Ethereum as well. Time permitting, we will look into that. But does that answer your question?
Thanks, Amit. In fact, I think you've gone way in depth. I am just a novice in this crypto space.
Okay.
And I think I got registered starting today's webinar onwards. So yeah, if there is a facility to have the previous session that you conducted to be viewed again, or some documents to be shared, that will be good. And anyway, thanks for the answer. I think it did answer what I was looking out for. But I also realized that there's a lot more to learn before.
I'm sorry for adding too much of unnecessary detail in between. In a nutshell, the answer to your question is that yes, public blockchains will necessarily have a cryptocurrency associated, because that is what is utilized to create an incentive for people to maintain the network.
Got it. Yeah, thanks.
In fact, so now, on a very related note, what is this cryptocurrency that Ethereum ends up utilizing? It's called Ether. So Ether is utilized to, pay for. So again, Ether is earned as mining rewards. Ether is also a utility token, which we will talk what it exactly means later on, and it is used to pay for the services of the network. So this is this big supercomputer that you're using. You're using some storage in it. You will end up paying in Ether. You are using some compute from it. You will end up paying in Ether. And that's also the cryptocurrency that is generated automatically to create mining rewards for people who are maintaining the network. So 2 ETHs are issued per block. and this is soon going to change, and we will talk about that later on as well as we progress. Now, ETH now Ethereum itself has exploded in exploded last year. In fact, last to last year, around mid of 2020, was when a lot of automatic transactions started happening as a DeFi became mainstream on Ethereum. And in one of the subsequent sessions, we'll be talking about DeFi as well. All of you know of NFTs, and some NFTs have become really popular. These are also, some interesting applications and use cases that have emerged out of the Ethereum ecosystem. So who are the people who use Ethers? Of course, traders use it, primarily to increase, multiply their money. They are betting on the speculative value of the cryptocurrency. Sometimes they are looking at it as, currencies whose value will over the long time increase because of all the utility that it creates. So these are the investor category. A lot of people build decentralized applications, deploy them on this supercomputer, which everybody is using. And these guys also need to hold Ether, because all the program, that logic that is, so all the code that you will write will need some storage. It will also need certain computations to initially be deployed, etc. And for that, you need to pay the Ethereum network in Ether. And then there are people who end up using these decentralized applications, who will have to end up paying in Ether just to use and record the transactions that they are committing onto the blockchain. So could anybody give some examples of some dApps that you have used or that you're aware of? You can unmute yourself and just share any dApps that you've used or that you're aware of.
Trust Wallet.
Trust Wallet, okay.
Olympus DAO.
Olympus DAO, great.
Uniswap.
Uniswap, all right.
Then OpenSea for NFTs.
OpenSea, very, very popular. Anybody who's used an NFT has possibly gone to OpenSea.
How about Axie?
Axie Infinity totally qualifies as a decentralized application, running on
MetaMask.
MetaMask.
I actually forgot a very, very important thing, Matic Polygon.
Matic Polygon, sure. So Matic Polygon is more is not exactly a dApp, but it is also pretty much a blockchain like Ethereum itself, except that it works side by side with Ethereum, and we'll touch upon Matic and layer 2 scaling solutions and what exactly Matic does, maybe in a subsequent session. Great.
How about the things like Pillow Fund and other ones where we invest our money? Is that also a dApp?
Yes, so exchanges will qualify as dApps if they are decentralized. Otherwise, could you tell which application were you talking about?
Pillow Fund.
Pillow, I'm unaware of it. Sorry.
Okay. So basically, you invest money over there or your cryptocurrency, and they give you an interest of 17 to 18%.
Oh yes, so yeah, so definitely these things will be decentralized most likely, and they would totally qualify as dApps.
Amit, any idea about Discord? Is it decentralized?
What?
Discord.
Discord is not decentralized. It's a centralized service.
But is it built on any blockchain? No, right?
No, it is not. Discord founders were actually thinking about introducing a custom token for Discord, but it was really resented by their community.
Community, yeah.
Back their this thing. That is also because the gaming community in large has been very active user of Discord, and gaming community for some reason hates NFTs. Not for some reason, like they have got their long-term issues. So it's like a family problem of sorts, right? So the gamers don't really like developers making so much money of them. Yeah, at the same time, they are addicted, totally hooked, and they pay a lot of money. And Discord is not another place where, and NFTs, for the gamers believe NFTs will make these gaming studios make even more money at their expense. So they are dead against it. They don't realize that NFTs would actually help gamers benefit a lot as well. So till the time that this realization happens in the world, there is a bit of a feud. And because Discord is at the heart of what gamers use, anything to do with crypto and blockchain, these guys have been infusing a lot. Again, some extra piece of information, but hopefully it's entertaining as well.
I mean, it's useful for everybody, right? Most of us will get on Discord someday or the other.
Sure.
Yeah, thank you, Amit.
All right. Sure. So now let's take a quick poll. And Harsha, you might have to create this poll real time, because or if you can't do a poll, let's just get a sense of how many people here are using MetaMask.
Maybe we can give a thumbs up.
Yeah, if you can actually give a thumbs up, it'll be very helpful. Because if nobody's used, let's make everybody install MetaMask right now, and that is the only way forward. How can I see the thumbs up view of people?
Yeah, we have 6 of them using it. Now it's
okay. Guys, please just unmute yourself and share if you're not using MetaMask also. Like, or use the chat to say no somewhere.
Yeah, not using it, but I've heard of it.
Not yet, no.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not using. Okay, fantastic. So let's do a walkthrough of MetaMask. Now, you guys know what a wallet is? I presume everybody does. Wallet is a place where we store our cryptocurrencies, and as crypto is very, very notorious, right? If anybody gets access to the private keys of your wallet, they essentially own all your money. So like, you got your keys, you've got your money, somebody else has your keys, it's their money. So I must totally tell you, whatever I'm going to share right now, you must do very privately, safely, on your own machine. Don't do it in any public network. Even if you do it in any public network for trying it out, it's all okay. But repeat the whole process again at home, securely, and ensure that the private seed phrase that comes in your screen, you note it down in a piece of paper, and don't copy paste it and put it again in the network. These things will become complicated later on. Okay, so if I'm not scared you enough already, let's do some live action. So how to get started with it? We will first have to buy some cryptocurrency from an exchange. So my first question should have actually been, are you guys active in, are you guys connected to a decentralized exchange? Like, how many of you have been trading crypto already? So we know from last time stats that 10.2% of India is on crypto, if those stats are correct. Anybody over here who's not a trader yet, who's not been trading cryptocurrency yet? Okay, please tell the no's especially. If we have got more than 10, we will have to actually do a small little tutorial on a cryptocurrency exchange as well. Okay, good number of no's are coming. Okay, somebody decided to save my ass and give a poll over here. Okay, Asit.
I think we need a fourth choice over here, like for the people who understand but have not traded and have never used anything.
Yeah. Okay, sure. So we've got like 10 people who understand the fair deal, 10 people who are total noobs. How many people are totally there? 6 people who've been trading crypto. Okay, so some things there, and 14 people who will not participate no matter what question I ask. So we get you. Done. So first thing is, like, majority of you guys are from India, and we have Taki, who's already a pro, so he doesn't really need to be bothered with respect to you know, a centralized exchange. But guys, India has WazirX, CoinDCX, CoinSwitch, Kuber, you know, pretty popular exchanges. Go ahead and create your account at WazirX. We will jump over to MetaMask and you know, linking that for other people right now, because going forward, these guys will also, all of you all will in fact, you know, be ideally buying an NFT or doing something with NFTs either on testnet or mainnet. So you will also have to get there. But first step, go please create an account with you know, a centralized exchange like WazirX. You will need 2-3 days for your KYC to be completed, and that is the place from where you can send your money and get some Ethereum into your wallet. You're going to be utilizing this Ethereum to pay the transaction fees that we were talking about earlier via MetaMask. Okay, so who else? Please give me a yes if you're going to be doing that right now on chat or on voice. Okay, we'll just wait a little time for these people to get started with their WazirX. So guys, I'm really committed that by the end of this whole session, you guys are kinda above good when it comes to your understanding of blockchain crypto, and this understanding is never going to come if you don't get your hands dirty. So it's with that commitment that I'm asking you guys to do it. Okay, so Suhas tells me that we won't be able to load their wallet with INR because pullbacks from banks are happening. You see, so I think with centralized exchanges, money going into them should not be a problem right now. Us being able to buy some ETH should not be a problem either. And us being able to transfer some of that ETH to MetaMask should also not be a problem, despite all the regulatory uncertainty that's going on right now, Suhas. So let people try. In case they are unable to, we will just know that sure shot. But for small amounts, I don't think any of this should be a problem.
So I've been trying it for a couple of days to load WazirX wallet. One way to do that is P2P. That's happening very well.
You mean to say that you're not able to transfer money from your bank account to WazirX?
Yeah. But okay. I can withdraw it. That's happening. But loading the wallet is not happening.
Okay. Okay. Got it.
So I've been trying P2P from Binance for it.
But then
USDT from a party, right? From a trader or something.
So we will possibly take if 5-7 people from here, and so let's create a Telegram group, with the participants over here. And if 5-7 of us are having a challenge, this very same challenge, then we will take a session on how to make P2P transactions happen. But I'm not sure if for a very first time user, if they will be able to get money in via P2P either.
Right. I also have like a Binance account, and I've been using like P2P to have like some minute balances. Like I have some in ETH and BTC and BNB.
Sure. Perfect. So happy to take some questions right now for 2 minutes till the time these guys actually create their accounts, and then we'll move forward and we'll get to MetaMask as well.
Amit, I wanted to confirm, you want us to set up an account on a crypto exchange right now or MetaMask? First, we should have an account on...
First crypto exchange, MetaMask, I'll walk you through next.
Say that again?
Yeah, for simplicity, yeah, sure, Ramkumar, you are from... Okay. I presume from a competitor of WazirX or from another country. So whatever works for you.
Right. So if I'm on Binance, do I need to get WazirX or?
You're already in Binance, no. So this is for the noobs.
Complete noobs. Got it. Just check.
Sure.
Hi Amit, when is the Indian digital currency planning to come out? Because That would be the main. I think that would really enable transactions. Am I right?
Yeah. So Nirmala Sitharaman says 2023 sometime, but it's anybody's guess. Uh, and if they are really planning to roll it out in a way that can get mass adoption, then they'll have to do a lot of other work, like maybe integrating it with the UPI stack or leveraging the UPI stack in an effective way, or working on those kind of compatibilities. So it could totally get delayed also.
Sir, a quick question. So, would we have to transfer some Ethereum to our MetaMask wallet for the purpose of the session?
Yes, not this one, but for the next one, yes, because we'll be doing some DeFi jazz next week.
Okay.
This one is to just ensure that it's not that only 5.5 people out of 40 are actually doing some stuff, and rest are there only for theory. So let's ensure everybody gets their wallets loaded, and any amount is fine, guys.
I've just created an account, or rather in the process of creating an account on WazirX, so email verification has been done. It says security. So there's an authenticator app.
Yes.
So does this app need to be downloaded onto the mobile phone, or?
Yes, it will have to be downloaded to a mobile phone. Let me just share my screen and show you.
Or I could just, for now, I could use mobile SMS and finish the login process.
Yes, please. Mobile SMS is good enough. Authenticator is highly recommended, but not needed at the moment.
Amit sir, so the Ethereum gas fees would be too high. So any chance I can do it on BNB? Like
100%. We will in fact learn how to become compatible with Polygon, do some stuff on Polygon to save money, or BNB, whatever one of these things, right? So yeah, Harsh notes that WazirX is actually acquired by Binance. Effectively, that is also Binance. So if anybody, that's like an important thing to know. Okay, next, let us install MetaMask, whoever has not installed MetaMask. So MetaMask is a wallet. I do not know. Can you see the small little fox over here in my screen?
Yes, we can.
Yeah. So this is a MetaMask wallet, right? You'll be able to log into it, and oh wow, I do have something. This is just like a test account on Brave browser. So if you see over here, it's Ethereum mainnet. It also supports Polygon mainnet, so which means life will be easier earlier. You can keep adding multiple networks over here, including some test networks. So those of you who are developers, you will be aware of all of these settings. We will get into it if it becomes relevant at some point in time. So this is what your wallet looks like. Your assets, like whatever ETH you have, will be showing up over here. All the different transactions that you have done will be shown over here. If you want to transfer money from your centralized exchange onto your MetaMask, then this is the address. You will have to make a transfer from the exchange. You just click on it. Your address will be copied. You can also see it in detail by double clicking this thing. Sorry, web. How do I expand view? Sorry, I'll come back to it again. Okay, just copy. So my bad. There should be like a better view. Account details view. Yeah. So it's over here. You can, if you're transferring it from your phone, so you can simply just click on your account details view, scan this QR code. This will get copied exactly, and then utilize it to transfer it over here. So this is what your MetaMask wallet looks like. I'll possibly switch things to Chrome to show what how some of these transactions happen. in subsequent sessions. We'll be doing some stuff on DeFi, some stuff on NFT using Chrome. Or maybe I'll just import my wallet to Brave and we'll use this itself.
So I have a question, maybe very fundamental one. So when I try to install MetaMask, it's asked me to either import a wallet or create a wallet. Right. So what is going to be my first action? Like if I have
will be create a wallet because you're doing it for the first time, right? Now, suppose like I mentioned, right? So this is this one doesn't have enough ETH in it for me to meaningfully do anything, any transactions. So what I could do is I could import another MetaMask wallet, and it'll show up over here. So all my past transactions, all the assets in that wallet will be over here.
Got it. Okay. Thanks.
So it is only for that you use it. We're close to an hour in, so I think we're not keeping good time, but this is important. Guys, this is how it'll end up looking on your mobile phone. So small trivia about MetaMask, it's developed by a company called Consensus. Ethereum by itself, everybody knows Vitalik Buterin, but in reality, Ethereum has like 6 co-founders. So one of those guys, like the guy who put in the majority of the money into financing the work that eventually got done by Ethereum, is called Joe Rubin. I think that's the name. Consensus? No. Joseph Rubin, yeah. This is the guy. Yeah, so he runs a company called Consensus, which is the company which has contributed MetaMask as an open source wallet. And this company is like the world's most premium Ethereum development services firm, something like the Infosys of the Ethereum world. Okay, guys, so MetaMask, how many people have installed? Oh, we've lost like a good number of people already, which is kind of good also in a way. Installed, okay. Installed, done. All right, let's proceed. So how exactly does Ethereum work? Let me, you guys can read it, and then I'll use an iPad to demonstrate it. Just let me know yes once you've read it. These are right from Ethereum docs, these definitions, and you can check out Ethereum docs over here. So introduction to Ethereum, intro to Ether, intro to dApps, very easily written, easy to understand, documentation. So I highly recommend those of you, especially all of you who are developers, to just go ahead and study things from here itself. It'll actually break things down pretty well for you. For the rest, this kind of an introduction is sufficient. Okay, so at the heart of Ethereum, like what really gives Ethereum the ability to execute programs? It is the Ethereum virtual machine. Okay, something that Taki mentioned that he's working on. Sure. So developer would create a dApp. They've written a series of smart contracts. We'll look into the structure of a smart contract in a bit. So you've created a dApp, let's call it a website. It's a very simple website which lets somebody deposit their Ether, and they are going to earn an interest on that deposit. Okay. So this person created a website. There are some front-end files which the person has hosted on AWS S3, or there's also decentralized storage, Filecoin, etc., RV, etc. But let's, for the timing, let's say they've put it in some centralized storage like AWS, and these smart contracts, the logic that has been written, which will essentially be a very simple thing, which will say a user can connect to this application, connect their wallet to this application. A user can transfer money from their wallet to this application's vault. You know, for a user can choose to withdraw money from the vault back. At the time of withdrawal, the system calculates what is the period that has been there, that the money has been in the vault, and proportionately gives an interest on it in addition to the original amount. So that a very simple logic for something like this has been written and deployed. Because this is a smart contract that is being deployed on the blockchain, the person will have to pay some Ether for doing it. So it goes on to Ethereum, right? Now then an end user ends up clicking that application, connecting their wallet, depositing their Ether. Because they are depositing Ether, it will again become a transaction, right? And they will have to pay some fees to record that transaction on the blockchain, right? This transaction gets validated via a bunch of different nodes that are there on the Ethereum network, and it eventually gets recorded as a block. Once it gets recorded as a block, it means that it is verified that your money has been deposited. It's recorded on the Ethereum blockchain. Anybody can go to Etherscan, which is a block explorer for Ethereum. So Etherscan is basically a list, nothing but a list of a searchable explorer of your entire Ethereum blockchain. So if you have a transaction ID, so this person over here, he would have deployed a smart contract. That contract will have an address. So you have that address, you can click that address on Etherscan, and it'll take you over there. Similarly, at the time that you made a transfer, you will get a Ethereum, you'll get a transaction address or a transaction hash. You can utilize that transaction hash and search exactly when was your transaction recorded on the blockchain, who were the people who validated it, etc. So once it is recorded on the Ethereum blockchain, like these are the very recent transactions that have been performed by some people. So once it has been recorded over here, it's just over there permanently. Okay, so that's how it goes. What is a dApp? We've already discussed it. It is an application which will of course have its front-end files, but its backend will be a smart contract. And the smart contract will be deployed on Ethereum network itself. Some applications, some dApps are very sophisticated. So they have centralized components, and only some parts of it are decentralized. So they would not qualify as pure dApps, but since they have some decentralized components, people call them dApps as well. Now, if you've played, so there's a very popular decentralized social network called Diamond. You know, so it has a bunch of centralized components which actually do the indexing and searching of all the social media messages that are going over there. But all of this eventually gets recorded on the the summary of these transactions, or let's say a hash of these transactions, gets recorded on the main chain as well, which kind of verifies that every single thing that has been computed off chain is actually legit. So these are some examples where more sophisticated applications can also end up becoming a dApp. Must be sounding a little theoretical right now to some of you. We'll get into practicalities pretty soon. So how has Ethereum evolved? So in 2009, Bitcoin was launched. 2012, Vitalik proposed an idea that, boss, we should have programmable money as well. 2013, he published a white paper for Ethereum. 2014, an announcement was made for this, and the project was also privately funded by Joseph Rubin, etc. In 2014, Ethereum Foundation was created, and it created something called an ICO. So, and ICO subsequently became a big boom. So, what is an ICO? Conventionally, in the Web2 world, right? A startup is created, they find product market fit, or they create value for its customers. A lot of customers get added. Then they list in a public exchange, and their shares can be purchased by anybody else. And this event is called an IPO. At the time that they list in a public exchange, and people can buy their shares. Sorry. So this entire value creation needs to happen before this. It makes sense for a startup to list in an exchange. In Web3 applications, it usually happens in a reverse way, right? So they would end up first proposing an idea, then they will ask people to believe in the idea and transfer money to them, and then they will start working in the and they will issue these people tokens in advance for in lieu of the money that these guys have transferred over to them, and they would typically list in an exchange upfront to let other people also participate and give them more money, which will fund the development of the project. So something like this happened with Ethereum, and we will possibly look at ICOs in detail. 2015 was when Ethereum actually launched, and people were able to register and record their transactions. It was very, very popular. In 2016, an event called the DAO attack happened. So I'm not sure how many of you are with me on the level of smart contracts. So let me, before explaining DAO attack, let me just get to smart contracts and then come back on the DAO attack. Otherwise, we'll miss some fun here. There is no slide on a smart contract, is it? Okay, there is smart contract. Okay, it'll get sure. So so far with me, guys, because I'm about to explain how exactly smart contracts function, and then we are gonna go back to the previous slide, which is about DAO attack. Many of these slides are extra, and that's not intended to be covered today. But so far, are you guys with me? Yes, no, maybe.
Yes, sir.
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, so a smart contract is a very simple program. It can only do if-then conditions. Okay, now, so if this, then that, IFTTT. All right, now to invoke a smart contract, there needs to be some kind of a trigger. All right, so let's imagine if we were to create an ICO kind of a portal. I'll just get my iPad in as well. So I want you to meanwhile just think of if you were, writing the logic of an ICO, what all will you want to cover over there? Please share. Anybody?
The quantity that you're providing publicly for people to invest in or get as such.
Sure. Unfortunately, at this point in time, my iPad logged me out. Sure. The quantity that, let's say the amount that you're planning to raise is one thing.
Yeah, listing price kind of thing.
Listing price is a very interesting concept. Sure.
Vesting period. in which the coins would be released?
Beautiful. Vesting period. At what point in time will these tokens? Will you really be able to sell these tokens that I'm going to transfer to you in lieu of your money?
What are the? What is the entire concept? Like, why are the tokens being issued? What is the end game?
Could you repeat that?
Like, why are the tokens being issued? Like, what is it that lies underneath? Like, information on that.
100%. We'll have to provide some information on that as well. Harsha, could you please Slack me this Zoom? I'm just unable to connect.
Slack you what, Amit?
The Zoom link?
Yes.
Isn't it similar to like in Web2 we have a kind of angel investment similar to this?
It'll be very similar to a Web2 angel investment. In fact, ICOs can be thought of as a Kickstarter. So you go to Kickstarter, you have a goal, you have you have the entire concept listed out on why people should actually transfer you money. Then they end up making you this transfer, and you make them promise that once I've built this product, I'm gonna give it to you at this particular discount, or I will do XYZ. In ICO, that ends up being is that typically what people are building is an application, a DApp, or a protocol which will utilize a particular kind of cryptocurrency. This cryptocurrency is already pre-minted, so it's very easy to pre-mint a cryptocurrency, and then these tokens or these coins are transferred to users in lieu of the money right now. So the valuation of the company is small right now, and you have transferred this money and taken these tokens with this small valuation. As you keep developing this application or protocol further, because the tokens will be in limited supply, the value of the tokens will keep going up, right? And that is how your money will keep on increasing. So you still want to be like an early participant as an investor if you really believe in the idea or the team which is doing it.
Yep. And this money will automatically be released whenever the vesting periods will be end, right? According to the contract.
Yes, now we can speak, and I can also possibly share my screen.
Amit, somebody asked a very interesting question. Like, once the contract period is over, this money would be like returned or something like that. Can you come again, please? Like, whoever had that question.
Yep, I was asking. So the investment, like we compare as an angel investment in ICOs. So whenever the vesting periods will end, this money will also automatically be transferred to those investors, right?
Yes, 100%. And all of this, if you can see, it's like all pretty logical. We can say that after 1 year, 10% of the tokens go. After 2 years, 20% of the tokens go to your wallet. After 3 years, 30%. After 4 years, 40%. Typically, like this is how our earlier vesting used to happen with.
So I have a question. So what happens like if developers agrees to develop a feature on a specific time period, and after this, some of the money will be released. But if they are unable to reach their goals, so what happens then, according to?
So let's try to put it together in our smart contract right now as we.
Okay.
Let's try to build an ICO. Okay. Our intention is to raise $1 million in ETH. Let's assume the value of ETH right now is $1,000 for simplicity, right? So our goal will be to get 1,000 ETH. Okay. Yes, no, right? What kind of logic do we need to raise? Do you need to write? We will say first we will have to tell on our website wherever we are talking about our idea. We will tell that hey, if you are not able to raise the amount of money that we actually need to build it, then you will get your money back, right? And if we are able to raise it, then only if we are able to raise the complete amount, we will go ahead. Like this can be one kind of a logic, right? Hello.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's
Yes.
we are
Agreed.
here.
So if as a programmer, like those of you who are programmers, you would be like pretty accustomed to writing function calls, writing functions. So smart contracts are nothing but very simple function calls which can be invoked by other smart contracts. It can also be invoked via a user account. Okay, so there are two kinds of addresses in Ethereum. These are user addresses and contract addresses. Okay, so these are the only kind of addresses that are allowed to initiate a transaction. Typically, they will have a wallet associated with them. Okay, and when they initiate some kind of a transaction, some money is paid in ETH as fees for making that transaction happen. In turn, they could end up invoking a smart contract, which in turn ends up invoking other smart contracts, right? Eventually, it will lead to, generally it would lead to some kind of a transfer happening to another end user. Okay, or some state of the blockchain being changed. All right. So those of you who studied computer science, this would look like a finite automata kind of series. Anybody remembers that concept?
Yeah, I do.
Yep. State.
And finite automata class, right? Totally. Yeah. So that is exactly what it is. It is a state machine. And this is where some of you might have also heard about, Ethereum being, Solidity. Solidity. So all Ethereum smart contracts are written in a programming language called Solidity. And when the people mention Solidity as a type of a programming language, they usually compare it to JavaScript. It's very similar to JavaScript. They also end up mentioning something like it's Turing complete. So what is this Turing complete? Effectively, anybody seen that movie, Imitation Game, Alan Turing?
Yes.
What is the Benedict Cumberbatch?
Yeah, correct. Yes.
So that was like a biography of this famous mathematician called Turing. So the Nobel Prize of computer science, because computer science isn't included in the list of Nobel victories, so categories. So the Nobel Prize of computer science is kind of the Turing Award, which is given to honor him. And he created a very a hypothetical machine, which was like a series, which could be like a series of rules which could only have 0 or 1, but and a specific set of rules. The way those rules would be implemented, this machine could implement any known algorithm. Okay, so so any programming language, when it is implemented, it is said to be Turing complete if it can perform all the functions that Alan Turing's hypothetical Turing machine could do. And this machine is totally capable of running some kind of loops, like you do something over here, you come back over here, do the whole thing again, keep coming back until a particular condition has been met, so on and so forth. All right, so Solidity is capable of doing all this, but Solidity, if you allow loops to be running in Solidity, then it could totally it could also create the possibility of an infinite loop. Okay, an infinite loop means in computer science that these contracts are running between each other forever, perpetually, right? And this would totally jam the entire network. Like it'll freeze the computer because there's nothing else to be done. I mean, every transaction has to get executed and eventually getting recorded. So to prevent this from happening is why a fee has been implemented or has been mandated that everything should end up having a fee. So at the time of defining a smart contract, you will end up stating that, hey, for my entire contract to get executed, I will give a total gas fee of X. And it also says, these gas fees are actually calculated in V. All right, these are giga V. V is 10 to the power of minus 18 Ethereum, very, very small amount. So this is like 1 billion V. So this also is a small amount. So what we also need to specify in our contract is at what gas price am I willing to spend total amount of X V. All right, that is just for information, but this becomes very, very important because our program logic will end up, doing a lot of computations. It will also end up doing a lot of storage, right? For everything, there is like some kind of a fee that they will have to pay. All right. So, and that is why a total supply is important. Once the total supply gets fully exhausted, that transaction stops. So this is essentially that scenario. Initially, we have supplied totally 250 gas. The first operation takes in 50. The next operation takes up 30. The remaining 170 gas goes back to the center's wallet. But if these transactions end up consuming too much gas and the 250 runs out, nothing goes back to the sender, but the transaction does not get completed. Also, the state of the blockchain does not end up getting completed. So this is in short the concept of gas and why gas fees is required. Now let us move back into our ICO example. Right, so we will write one function saying transfer. We will write another function called vesting. We will write another function called, what were the other things that we said?
Listing on exchanges.
Okay, list.
Quantity.
Yeah, so quantity and all we will define within, some of these broader things, right? So
refund.
Yeah, refund will be a very useful one, etc. So first there will be a contract deployer. So let's say in this case it's Vitalik Buterin. He's saying that I am raising capital for Ethereum. He writes a smart contract which is capable of there'll be received, right? And so he puts all of these things together in a ICO smart contract, and he deploys it on the Ethereum chain. All right, he pays some ETH to do this. Now, other users over here, they start, registering their transactions, interacting directly with this contract, saying that, okay, I'm gonna, take 100 ETH from my side, take 10 ETH from my side, right? Over here somewhere it will also be, so this transfer will be, give me ETH, give them token. Sorry, so I'm sorry for the confusion, but if it was Vitalik Buterin doing it for Ethereum, then he would be giving out ETH token, he'll be taking in BTC. Make sense?
Yes.
Yeah, so he's saying, give me BTC, and these guys are all giving BTC. Right? And they are getting back ETH. Okay. I am not giving a great example. Let's not call this guy Vitalik. Okay. Let's say Amit is raising for socially. All right. The reason why I'm saying so, because I want to explain where gas fee happens, a bunch of things happen. And right now we're not talking about the Ethereum blockchain only. So is it okay? Can I recall?
Sure, sure.
Yes. Okay. And we are doing all of this on socially. We are doing all this on the Ethereum network. All right. So transfer function will be okay. Pay me in ETH. I'll pay you in social. Dollar social. Okay. Let's say that is the. This is the cryptocurrency that socially has launched, or the token that socially has launched. Okay. So I get dollar is. AL, this person is giving and he's getting back, so on and so forth. They're all spending little bit of ETH in gas fees going on over here. Now, there will be possibly internally this smart contract, there will be like a bunch of things happening. Yeah. So initially it, does a swap function over here, which will essentially mean that, from the address that it has come, you take it, deposit it into some kind of a vault, and simultaneously transfer, X number of tokens back to that address, which has been demonstrated over here. It will also end up, checking against maybe a list. There are some people who are known to be scammers, and those addresses, hypothetically, and these are the addresses that we do not want to entertain, right? So, or let's say we have created a whitelist, which is a very, very common thing that happens, right? Only we can only accept transactions if they're coming from these particular wallet addresses. So if that has happened, so first we will do a check over here. From check, it will go to swap. It won't go directly to swap over here, right? If everything is fine, it will end up making the transfer. Everybody ends up making the money. Chances are that it could invoke the vesting contract from here, because we don't want all the money to be given on day one. Because if we give all the tokens on day one, the day we list on the exchange, many of the people might choose to sell all of their tokens, crashing the price of the token that we have listed on the exchange on. So we will tell them, okay, this is the vault. From here, it goes on to, another contract, which is vesting, yeah, which interacts with the vault and then finally transfers them only 10%, right? And it, keeps a note of time. So there can be time-based triggers as well. So whenever a particular time happens, let's say from the date of ICO, after 1 month, after 2 months, after 3 months, we can program, a trigger, and it ends up invoking this vesting contract again, and it will again transfer the next set that is supposed to come to me 20%, then the next set 30%, so on. Clear so far?
Yep.
How the ICO would typically be written, right? Like, it's honestly not very complex, but it is not as trivial as what I've made it look like. I'll also just briefly now talk about the DAO attack that happened, which was very, very interesting, and it also highlights why it is very important. Why Ethereum, why Solidity has been designed the way it has been designed, why smart contracts are not, or rather, what are the downsides or pitfalls of smart contracts as well. Yeah. So we were talking about the DAO attack. So Ethereum became very popular 2015, and it showed a lot of promises, and people were thinking about how they are going to eliminate middlemen from the entire world. And then one of the salient, and then this whole problem happened. Okay, so till 2015, Ethereum's mandate was that, boss, a blockchain means it is immutable. A transaction, a smart contract written on the blockchain essentially means it is immutable. So whatever you write in the code, that is the law. It makes sense also, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But, so people came together. They created this very interesting project called the DAO. The DAO's job was to take money from various people and deploy it into different Ethereum projects that show high amount of promise. So it was like a VC fund. Okay, it'll take people's money, it'll deploy it, and then the returns from that come from all those new projects that are being created on Ethereum. These returns will go proportionately to all the people who've invested in the DAO corpus. Make sense?
Sure.
Yeah.
Now, what happened is these guys had not really checked the contracts very, very well. In fact, they had checked it also, but somebody did say that, hey, Ethereum or Solid, the way the DAO smart contract was written, it was subject to a recursive attack. Now, these guys downplayed it, but somebody did that very attack on it. Effectively, what these guys had done, they had said that when somebody asks for the money back, the contract pays them the money, and then it reduces the balance from the vault. Okay, but it also allowed a user to modify, like an attacker to modify the contract which is at his end, and recursively keep calling for his money back. And so this thing kept going on in a loop, and it never reached the next step where the vault's balance was getting reduced. So about 1/3 of the money that was loaded at that point in time got drained out by this attacker. Now, in the eyes of some people, it was like, hey, this is malicious hacking activity. In the other side, it is like, hey, this guy just did what a clever lawyer does, finding a loophole and really exploiting it and making the most use out of it. So at this juncture, DAO had about $150 million worth of ETH in it, and $150 million was like approximately 15% of Ethereum's market cap also. So people were left with this whole decision was what to do. If we actually go ahead and reverse this decision, we will have to go against the principles of blockchain itself, where the entire network is coming together and canceling a lot of transactions, kind of creating a fork. Fork is something that we discussed last time around, and if somebody doesn't understand it, you can ask right now. Anybody who does not understand what is a fork in a blockchain?
Please tell us about it, Amit.
Yeah, sure. So, is my whiteboard visible?
Yes.
Okay. So there were two options in front of them. One is accept what happened because code is law. And the other one was to, fork, or rather I would say restore people's money. Okay, so till now, this was the Ethereum blockchain going on perfectly. And at this juncture, the DAO attack happened. Okay, so what these people decided was, okay, we are going to do the right thing of restoring people's money because code is law. While it's great in philosophy, we just got to do what is right for people. So they said, all these transactions still here, we're going to accept. And then from here, we will not recognize, like So all the nodes in the Ethereum network, right? They all mutually came together and they decide that we are not going to, count this node as valid. In fact, we will start. They deployed a new smart contract which gave people the ability to withdraw their funds, which they had put into the DAO, and from here Ethereum will continue. Now this is something like an exchange reversing its trade. So and it happened very recently in the world, and it was mind-boggling. The prices of nickel had shot up, and the London Commodities Exchange decided that, boss, for the last one day, whoever has traded, we are going to nullify all of those trades. So earlier exchanges used to only pause or pause trading, like they would not let any more trading happen, but this time they actually reversed the whole thing. So many people who lost a lot of money, they got it back, but so many people who had made a lot of money totally lost it. And this is as good as some centralization or some centralized authority deciding for you what is good for you, or like what are the new rules going to be, which is never a great idea, and not at least in line with what blockchains were emerged. But because all of these different nodes, all the parties that were running the Ethereum mining operations, etc., they all came together and said that yes, we'll do it. They made this change. There was also a party that said no, whatever transactions were, they should continue to be there. They continued running the same version of transactions. So they included this block, then a few more blocks were added, they included that, and they included that. What does it mean? That majority of the nodes that were maintaining the Ethereum network, they went ahead with this particular fork. Some of them, they chose to support this particular one. Okay, this blockchain became known as Ethereum Classic. Okay, and this one continues to be called Ethereum today. Right, and this DAO event essentially had major consequences on really helping Ethereum community figure out where is it that they truly stand with respect to the future of Ethereum as well. So given how much Ethereum has grown and improved, I think they made the right choice back then, but it was quite a big deal, and it was a very big debate at the time that it happened. Next. So I hope you get an idea about how smart contracts work.
Yes. Yes, Amit.
So we've covered history of Ethereum already. Now this is an interesting time in Ethereum. So we've all heard about how Bitcoin, Ethereum, etc. they use a lot of energy. They use a lot of energy because they deploy proof of work to secure the network. And proof of work means all the different miners will be running very hard computational puzzles non-stop 24 hours a day to get a chance to win that lottery of creating a block. It can only be a chance, but every single node has to literally try to solve that problem and record the next block. Okay, so all the time there are like millions of nodes or tens of thousands of nodes around the world that are constantly solving absurd, meaningless, useless mathematical problems just to be able to get their Ethereum rewards, right? Just did not make sense. So, and it ended up consuming a lot of power. Like by one estimate, the whole of Switzerland can be run for a year for the amount of power that is consumed by Bitcoin and Ethereum in a day. So pretty immense. So everybody was clear that this is not very viable, given that Ethereum will have a lot more transactions going forward, and we need to also cater to scale, etc. So they adopted a new kind of mechanism for deciding who is going to be creating the next block, and that is called proof of stake. I'll just draw it and show it. Okay, so So in proof of work, every single miner, all of them are executing non-stop. Okay, takes a lot of power. In proof of stake, right, every single miner is going to be putting in a little bit of their or a significant amount of their money for the right to be able to mine the next block. Okay, and these guys are called validators, and randomly one of them is going to get selected, but this randomization is sufficient to ensure that everybody would necessarily get an opportunity so that they are putting the money. Now the other validate, so they get to create the block, but the other validators are still verifying the transactions in their block. Okay, so if this person adds up adding malicious transactions into the block, right, or so these guys will also be executing it, right? And if this whatever this guy has added is incorrect, this money will be slashed, the money that they had staked. So there is a disincentive for people to do anything that is wrong for the network, right? But if all of them validate that, okay, the transaction that the block that this guy added was correct, validated by all the other ones, right? Then this guy gets the ETH reward, right? Next time, this person will get the opportunity. So this is like, let's call this POS consensus, right? So next time it will give opportunity to this, next time it will give it to this guy, then maybe a new validator come, that person will get an opportunity, but effectively it works like this. So there is none of this computation happening when it comes to proof of stake. Clear?
On the proof of stake, like this is basis a round robin, or is it like whoever is doing the wrong things, they are discredited, something like that?
Your voice is cracking a little bit, so I'm not able to follow. Did you say account-based what?
No, so basically in proof of stake, what I'm coming at is it basis a round robin, like one gets, two gets, three gets, and then one gets again, and two gets again, and then the third one gets again? Or is it like whoever is, they get it more often? Whoever is sort of doing a malicious entry, they get discredited, something of those sort?
Right. So round robin, I'm not 100% sure, because it's not necessary that you need to be alive as a validator all throughout, or one can't really prevent you from going down as a validator, right? So what happens in such scenarios? But this is something that I could study and clarify on Telegram.
Amit, I'll answer that for him. So basically, stake means how much stake of tokens you have, and the choice is made randomly in proportion with a probability in proportion to your stake.
Got it.
Yeah. Sorry, I'll say it again. The probability is in proportion to your stake, and a random choice is made in proportion to the probability.
So could you break that down, Aditya? Like if somebody has staked, say 5,000 ETH, another person has staked 1,000 ETH. Somebody has staked 5,000, 1,000. One person has put 4,000, another person has put 1,000. Right? So it is 50%, 40%, 10%. Right? What happens?
Let's say that there are only two validators. One has 4,000 tokens and one has 1,000. So one has 80% probability, the one with 4,000, and one with 1,000 tokens has 20% probability of getting selected. So out of 5 times, the second one will get selected once, and the first one will get selected 4 times.
Sure.
Got it. Makes sense. Thanks, Aditya.
So, Aditya, how does this decentralization end up being achieved with that? Because then in such a scenario, the person who has maximum amount of money will end up always being the person who's writing these blocks.
Yes, in a decentralized scenario, what happens is you use something called delegated proof of stake. So there are, let's say, 5 validators who have good amount of stakes. The rest of the guys just delegate their stake to one of these 5 validators in a pool. So in effect, it's like electing your member of parliament who then, does the work.
Right.
Yeah, also saturation points. Like I guess it's in Cardano. I'm not super sure, but basically beyond a particular amount, your probability of getting nominated does not increase. So if your pool has reached a particular size, you reach a saturation point, and your probability of getting selected does not increase beyond that.
That makes a lot of sense. Thanks.
Let's say that, yeah, that totally, refreshed my concepts as well. So these are like a lot of small people who've put like 10 at, 100 at, etc. And then there are some of these, larger guys who have all put like 1,000, 10,000 at types, etc., to get this opportunity towards creating the next block. What these guys can do is essentially say that, okay, I'm voting for these guy, for this guy, and these 10 plus 100, let's suppose this fellow had like 500, right? So this 610 will also kind of increase the pie of whatever this guy was putting originally. So these guys can all choose to nominate, their validators to be able to participate, and from whatever ETH rewards gets earned to this guy, whatever was their share, right? This part will again go back to them in the same proportion. There's like standard implementation of proof of stake as a delegated proof of stake. Clear?
Yep.
All righty, then let's proceed. So nowadays, so everybody was clear that Ethereum needs to go into proof of stake, but doing the shift overnight was not a great idea. So what happened is these guys sat together for a couple of years. They just decided how are we going to shift to proof of stake, and then created this plan. Okay, we will create two chains. One that will provide the consensus, another one that will record the transactions, and launched one more chain which is called the Beacon chain in December 1st, 2020. Okay, then in the third quarter of 2021, there was a major upgrade happened, which is known as the Altair upgrade, and eventually at some point in time this year, Ethereum is going to complete. So these things were continuously happening as proof of stake. Okay, and at some point in time, all the proof of work will stop, and the main proof of work chain and the proof of stake chain, the Beacon chain, will actually merge with only proof of stake working for the entire network. In future, data sharding will also be implemented. So this will be broken down into 64 different shards of the Ethereum blockchain, which will aid to further scalability of Ethereum, which we will possibly touch upon later. So what were the problems in Ethereum? The network was always clogged, this space was not enough for storage, and it was consuming too much energy. The solution that they came up with was what I just explained. Two different chains. This is ETH1, ETH2. This one is ETH2. This is ETH1. And ETH1 continues to be the execution layer. ETH2 is the consensus layer. When we say consensus, it is like, it is getting the entire set of nodes to agree that, this is the final state of the chain, right? And when they merge, and this one, they are already using proof of stake algorithms to run the Beacon chain. And when it merges, it will essentially be all the transactions will effectively be recorded on chain only upon using proof of stake. Now, this is the trilemma of any kind of a blockchain that you would ever end up designing. Applies as much to Ethereum as well. So it is the trilemma of security, scalability, and decentralization, right? So the value of a blockchain comes when it is truly decentralized, because if it is only 5, 6, 7 different entities controlling it, it is very much like an oligarchy. These guys have a higher possibility of being able to collude with each other and do whatever they want to be, like with the people's money on the chain. Now, but the problem is if too much decentralization happens, then it impacts scalability. So why is it not scalable? Because all the nodes, like let's say 10,000 nodes, need to then be synced, and they need to arrive at, like, yes, we all agree that this is the new block that will be added onto the blockchain. Never happens. So cannot happen very quickly. So this becomes a challenge with scalability. But more the number of blocks are there, suppose 10,000 different nodes are all kind of competing towards validating that particular block, then it makes the whole transaction extremely secure. Like every transaction recorded on the Bitcoin blockchain is secured by about 80 billion SHA-256 hashes being computed, 80 billion of them, right? So very wasteful on the energy front, but ultra secure that way. So if you try to increase decentralization, security will be better, but scalability will go for a toss. If you try to increase scalability, you will have to bring down decentralization, and then security will go for a toss. If you try to increase security, you will obviously have to decentralize more, impacting scalability. So somewhere people have to take wise decisions between maintaining good balances between these three, and generally speaking, 100 different validators are considered good enough by modern blockchains, as far as decentralization is concerned, because at 100, getting 100 nodes to agree with each other is still relatively easy and can allow for very high throughput, very high transaction finalization. Okay, if you want a blockchain to work like a real world Web2 application, you want these finalities, on-chain recording things, and things happening within 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds. With 10,000, 20,000 nodes, this 1 second, 2 second finalities are just not possible. It'll have to go into minutes, if not hours. Clear?
Yes, Allah.
Okay, thank you. I do not know who's participating, but it's just encouraging to hear the yes, no sometimes. Then that is a good deal of what we have already covered. Advantages of proof of work versus proof of stake, the differences between them is covered over here. No need to read, we've already covered all of these things. Then, shards. Shards will allow the throughput to become even larger. So right now, the problem that people have with Ethereum is that was too expensive to record a transaction on Ethereum. Thousands of rupees have to spend to make one transaction. Like I want to transfer 20 rupees to Ethereum, I will have to pay 2,000 rupees in gas fees. Does not work out, right? So new solutions have been created, which involve creating a layer 2, 1,000, 2,000 transactions they will execute on their chain, and then all of these clubbed together with some cryptography, they will record it on the Ethereum main chain. So those 2,000, so automatically the 2,000 rupees gets divided by these 2,000 transactions, and every transaction ends up costing just about 1 rupee. It's in reality not just 2,000. In reality, it is more than 20,000, and it just takes a few paise in transaction fees. If you were say using a network like Polygon, actually in Polygon it is rupees, not paise. But yeah, there are, like if you were using a network like Phantom to do these to achieve the scalability. But going forward, Ethereum itself wants to be like a fairly high throughput blockchain with a high amount of scalability. And one of the ways it is planning to do this is that, boss, my entire data, I'm going to break it down horizontally into 64 different chains. So think about it. You can hit any of these 64, which again are supported via their own network of validators, but incredibly fast, incredibly cheap to be able to secure your transactions. And these 64 periodically will keep realigning on their state. Everybody adding the new transactions that I have gotten back into the main Ethereum chain. Okay, so this is something that we will see in the near future happening. Now, it should happen this year. If not this year, then sorry, it should happen within this year and the next year. Generally, things get delayed in the blockchain space, so should happen next year for sure. Clear? Then MetaMask we've already covered, and you guys have all already added your wallet. Anybody who got stuck with creating a MetaMask wallet?
No.
Okay. I think most of you are techies here, so it should really not be a problem. Now, for those of you who are techies who are new into Ethereum, of course, I've already shared with you the Ethereum docs. That is the best place to actually go and study. You do not need to go through a lot of tutorials. Also, the docs by themselves are good enough, but otherwise, there are a bunch of good tutorials available on YouTube, Udemy, whatever, to start coding on that. Now, what is the technical ecosystem? Very quickly, we'll just jump into that. Get is the official client. It is a console-based client which is utilized for Ethereum. Parity is, so one of Ethereum's co-founders, Gavin Wood, he had another services company called Parity Technologies. So they ended up creating another client which was built on the Rust programming language. Get was built in Go. And by the way, Gavin Wood then further designed another blockchain to solve some of the problems that Ethereum was facing, and that blockchain is called Polkadot. And Parity is whatever work Parity has done, their wallets or other, their contracts have also gotten hacked a couple of times due to small little issues. We could talk about them. Then on JavaScript, when you need to connect, you will always end up using web3.js. That's a standard JavaScript library. That you would utilize to connect to an Ethereum node. Solidity is the programming language. Remix is a very intuitive, user-friendly IDE, which will actually let you run your smart contracts and actually see those values right on the left-hand panel in real time. And you'll connect your Remix to a testnet. So like there are test environments while building conventional Web2 applications. For blockchains, there is like there are test networks. They run the same code as the actual network, but they allow faster transaction processing, and they run on test at Ethereums. So Rinkby and a bunch of other, what are the other ones? Polygon has a Mumbai testnet. So you can earn some free ethers to run your smart contracts on these testnets, daily validate, verify them. Then Truffle is a complete framework which you can utilize to create Truffle and Bark both to create any kind of a dApp. So they will give you a lot of code that is out of the box. MetaMask, you've already seen, is one of the most popular wallets that sits as a browser plugin, which you can utilize to connect with any of these nodes or dApps. Other popular Ethereum wallets, at least the other more popular one could be MyEther wallet. So if MetaMask, MyEther wallet, etc., it's up to you whether you need to declare to the government or not. Like as in if when the government declares, makes it mandatory, you will have to declare. But the fact is that these are totally independent of your centralized exchanges. And only when you withdraw money onto your, say, a MetaMask or that kind of a wallet, does it become trackable or traceable. Till that time, anything that you're doing from, let's say you purchase some crypto from a decentralized crypto exchange, you put it on your MetaMask or MyEther wallet, then it is still completely untraceable back to you. So this is one of the reasons why people say that there is a lot of privacy associated with blockchains. But in my humble opinion, blockchains are not at all private. Everything that's recorded over there is public information. And unless, of course, you use blockchains that are privacy preserving blockchains like Dash or Monero, or and then there are like a bunch in that category. But and we are also reaching that point in time where majority of the world's crypto owners have already been KYC'd. Once they have been KYC'd, people will always find out a way of figuring out who's the real owner behind the wallet address. So just want to share that. Ethereum naming system, ENS, is very popular. So instead of remembering like a long crypto address, like I shared earlier, this such a long address, right? You can just change it into something like amit.eth, right? Then anybody can transfer money to amit.eth. It's like your UPI ID. Swarm, old news. This is decentralized content storage. These days, NFT storage, ARWave, IPFS is like much more popular. IPFS is already highlighted over here. So did a very massive ICO in 2017 and raised like, I do not know, $200-300 million in that ICO, and it's by a company called Protocol Labs. Pretty good decentralized storage. So long as at least one node is still storing your information is basically censorship resistant. I think one thing we've missed over here is something called Open Zeppelin. So as a developer, when you're writing smart contracts, you will most likely go and instead of writing from scratch, you will write your contracts from the ones that have been provided by Open Zeppelin. So these are 100% audited contracts, audited by the best in the world. They ensure that there are no loopholes like the ones that were left in the DAO attack or the ones that are left with parity wallets, etc., multi-sig wallets. So please use your smart contracts from Open Zeppelin when you can. It's free and open source, and only then write custom functionality. The less the amount of custom functionality you write, the better it is, because the more complex the code gets, the less secure it becomes, the greater the attack surface becomes. Pretty common with conventional web applications, but with Web3, it is all the very more. Yeah, and then the rest of it is about how exactly internally accounts are created, the state changes, gas fees, transactions, etc. We've covered accounts, state. We've covered all of this in like the whiteboarding session that we did. So I will not go through any of this. And we are basically at 6 o'clock, which is like the end of our talk time also. So I would just conclude by the governing body of Ethereum. Essentially, it's not controlled by anybody. Any changes that you want to make into Ethereum, you need to create it as a proposal, and it's an off-chain online system where you would end up doing it, proposing it, and these become EIPs, Ethereum improvement proposals. Then some of these become ERCs, which we have not covered interestingly, ERC 20, ERC 721, but we will do it in the next thing. So this deck was anyways very, very long, which we were not planning to cover everything. Let me just see if there's something that has been missed. Yeah. Oh, so a lot of applications exist for Ethereum, and I'm out of time to really discuss these. But marketplaces, music, lending and borrowing, pooling and investments, these are things, these things that you guys shared. Managing portfolios, token exchanges, decentralized autonomous organizations. The DAO was the DAO attack was essentially DAO itself. Prediction markets, collectibles, games, virtual worlds, etc. Many of these are there. I think some good examples would just exist. I can walk you through some popular Ethereum projects, or we can take a quick break, or rather a quick Q&A for 4 minutes, so that anybody who wants to leave can leave. And the rest who want to hang around for this random chit chat, we will be open till 6:30 for the rest of it. So any questions? Right. No questions right now. 30 of you are still around. So let me quickly introduce you to Uniswap. Uniswap is a decentralized exchange, which essentially means the central BSE, NSE people managing stuff. These guys have removed it. Now, the conventional problem that used to happen with exchanges is that they need somebody to make these markets. So conventional exchanges work on the order book method. Somebody needs to buy exactly what you're selling at the rate that you want to sell it at, and only then does a transaction become successful. Now, rarely will there be so many people who are willing to buy and sell at the same price. So there used to be these people sitting on a lot of money who will have this engagement with, or who would have this contract with the exchange saying that, boss, I'm always willing to buy this particular commodity or currency or whatever. I'm talking about centralized exchanges. Huh? So within this range, anybody selling within this range, I will buy it, no problem. So this guy gets a quick transaction. Similarly, I'm always willing to sell within this range, and they make money on that arbitrage, right? So these guys are called market makers. So what some clever guys did, and it's a pretty young chap who built Uniswap also, he said that, boss, this whole market making is the thing that you need in centralized exchanges. Let me make this algorithmic, So he implemented a curve x into y equal to k, and as the demand for x increases, y decreases. As the demand for y increases, as y goes up, x increases. So x is the number of tokens, y is the price of the token, and keeping this constant equal to k, there was like this constant market making that was facilitated, and it became a very, very popular protocol, and a lot of users started directly trading their cryptocurrencies over here. Why so? Many of them, because they didn't really want to do their KYCs because they had made insane amount of capital wealth, which they did not want to get taxed, etc. But many new projects that are listing, if you're listing with a centralized crypto exchange, they will do your KYC, they will assess whether the project is good, it's not scams. So many things are going on, right? It'll take 3 months, 6 months to get your project listed. Instead, you could just go to a Uniswap, list your token immediately by sharing your contract address. Everybody can go to your contract address, see your code, see your details, decide whether to fund you or invest in you or not. We will go through Uniswap in detail when we cover DeFi. So it's as simple as this. This much ETH, I'll get this much USDT, whether I'm willing to take it out or not. Okay, so about $1 trillion traded cumulatively on that. MakerDAO, borrowing and lending, DApp of sorts. We'll tell more stories about this. Aave is another lending protocol, very similar to MakerDAO, very, very popular. Very interestingly, Aave protocol's founder also created something called Lens protocol more recently, and he has been appointed, unless I've gotten some fake news, he's been appointed by Elon Musk as the CEO of Twitter, who has some very bold and ambitious plans for Twitter going next. We'll cover Aave in detail in the DeFi chapter, which is happening next. CryptoKitties is a small little game, very simple game. It leveraged ERC 721, which is one version, which is a specific way in which Ethereum tokens could get created. So one important thing that I've missed in today's session is really talking about tokens that Ethereum can create. I think I missed that slide altogether somewhere. But CryptoKitties allowed, so there was a new token standard called ERC 721 for non-fungible tokens, and a Canadian studio called Dapper Labs created this game where you could end up paying Ethereum to get a customized picture of a kitty. But behind the scenes, they also maintained some ways via which these kitties could be bred together, and they had certain traits like the mustache or a X kind of a mustache or a unicorn head, which was very rare. So it made these collectibles. and you could breed these kitties together to get a new offspring, which was pretty interesting. So this led to eventually the genesis of Axie Infinity, which is so people who invested a lot of time playing CryptoKitties said that this is not cool, it's not even very game-like. So let's make a real game out of it. And Axie Infinity, as you guys must be aware, has really totally blown the charts when it comes to play to earn. So we are going to cover Axie Infinity in detail in the gaming and metaverse session in this series. And Decentraland is also a virtual world that has been created where every single road, every single plot of land, every single house that is built over there, and your avatars themselves, they're all NFTs, and they are on the Ethereum network. So a lot of these things happen off chain, which are free of any expenses, but it's all recorded on chain. And this also is a very, very popular Ethereum project. We will cover this in detail in the Metaverse topic. So OpenSea, all NFT is decentralized marketplace. They're all listed over here. If you've not already been to OpenSea, you must check it out, and check out especially Bored Ape Yacht Club over here. So and when we cover NFTs, we are going to do a case study on Bored Ape Yacht Club as well, and just look at the price of some of these guys. So they're going to hundreds of thousands of dollars in their actual value. Wow, finally these smart contracts were there somewhere, but they were too far ahead in the line. We've already covered these in a simple fashion with more details. We've covered execution. And this is the conditional if-else logic of a smart contract. These are different programming languages. We don't really need to go over there. Honestly, this deck is so long, it requires 4 hours, but let me just tell. ERC20 we'll possibly cover later, and it seems like a never-ending deck. Oh, wow. Okay, guys, let's jump over here. Thank you very much. Next one is going to be in the world of DeFi. Trust me, you've not missed much. Whatever we have covered is a bulk of what you need to do, unless you're a programmer. We, of course, had some very interesting things for entrepreneurs specifically, like how Ethereum could be utilized for digital identity, marketplaces, financial security, etc., which we will cover whenever we can cover. So in 2 hours, I think we've covered good ground. Happy to take any questions for the next 16 minutes for those of you who are staying back.
Amit, just wanted to understand what's the legality of the smart contracts in India if I have to execute any business transaction locally. Like I understand that DocuSign is not legal, so just want to understand on the smart contract side.
So smart contracts is also not legal. It is not illegal either, because that is fuzzy, right? DocuSign is also not illegal either, right? It is just a very workable thing. So the recommendation would be that anything that has got to do with the physical world, tangible goods, etc., avoid smart contracts for now. Tokenization by itself, we would possibly discuss at length, but anything that is virtual, you could engage with it. At some point in time, you would have to declare what you are doing. So in India, we are trying to pass a law around digital virtual asset. Now, digital virtual asset could also end up covering stuff like royalty points, airline miles, etc. We don't really know exactly what it's going to be. IAMA is working on those pieces of regulation or coming up with its recommendations, But if you think that you totally need to do it, and you need to be in a very clear-cut regulatory framework for your transactions, then I would highly recommend registering a company in Dubai or Singapore, where these regulations are very clearly tied out. You won't be an Indian company, but you will still be an individual. So appropriate legalities do apply. If you can talk about your use case, I could tell you very clearly if I know about it, whether it's a recommended thing or not in India.
Sure. I'll reach out offline for that.
For sure. Anything else, guys? We've overshot time, so those of you who got other comments, please feel free to leave. Otherwise, this is just like Q&A, chit chat.
Amit sir, I just going through the website. I could not make out much what exactly social.li into.
Yeah, so socially, we will again discuss when we're discussing the metaverses. So in a nutshell, socially allows communities on Earth establish their presence on the metaverse. And so a community will get its own custom cryptocurrency. It will, we will work along with the community to define the token economics. Now, where people are, so many people have tried to give communities their own cryptocurrency, but it's not really succeeding. Why it's not succeeding is because people are expected to do with a virtual cryptocurrency something that they are used to doing for free, or using conventional fiat currency. That change is not happening. But if we migrate the entire tooling and the entire environment to a metaverse, chances are that in that metaverse where your cryptocurrency is the native currency, all interactions are happening using that currency only. So people will really want to do whatever you want them to do in lieu of money in that virtual environment using this cryptocurrency. So that is the bet that we are taking with socially, and we are giving communities their own custom cryptocurrency, their entire tooling, like how to make their DAO, how to really do their ICO, etc. And along with a metaverse. And this metaverse can talk to other metaverses also. So think of this metaverse as a small little country, and this country can open trade routes with all other countries, bigger countries like Decentraland or Sandbox. And then people using your cryptocurrency can do some trade with them, and they can do some trade with you, and your currency has more value. As the value of your currency keeps improving, you as the founder of the community who has 20-30% of the overall tokens, that value will also increase, and that's how the founders will end up creating wealth. Does that answer?
Got it, Amit sir. Thank you.
Well, how does one go about making a normal contract to a smart contract, and what would be required for a regular business like me who has got no tech knowledge?
Sure. So a smart contract should be deployed if and only if you have a strong use case for it. Now, let's say land registry, how it happens conventionally. There's a seller, there's a buyer. The buyer actually will need a lender sometimes, who will extend the mortgage. Right? There will be a notary. Then the seller and buyer will come together. They will get a deed, which is the contract. The notary will sign on it. There will be a bank that will, kind of use the notary, approve the loan, etc. And this deed will also be recorded in the centralized ledger, which the country is maintaining for all sorts of land deeds. Right? This is like a case in which a contract is executed these days. When it comes to a smart contract, all of these parties will basically rely on the blockchain for all their information. So all the information about the buyer and his ability to buy, the seller, and the fact that he actually owns this piece of land, the credit history, etc., will be all recorded at different parts of the blockchain, and they can be queried. and by the smart contract. So everybody basically just directly interacts with the smart contract, and it will have a series of if-else conditions. If buyer qualifies criteria A, B, C, D, E. If seller qualifies criteria A, B, C, D, E. If buyer seller value matches. If then record this thing as seller has sold it to buyer has bought it for so and so time, and record it in the blockchain. That's it. So only when all parties involved are willing to rely on the blockchain, right, to get its source of information, should a smart contract be considered, otherwise not. Does that answer the question?
I'm sorry. Yeah, it does. Just the second part of it. How does one go about it if all parties are interested?
So if all parties are interested, then it is fairly straightforward. So over here we will have to create, like, land registry would require like a separate kind of. So first, all of the land records will need to go sit over there, because we want we want the blockchain to act as that source of truth, right? So the past state needs to be first migrated onto the blockchain. Sometimes it is just unfeasible to put a lot of historical data over there. Right? If it's not relevant, then you can just agree that from now onwards it will be recorded on the blockchain. The identities of people and their KYC details, etc., they need to be recorded on the blockchain. People would ideally not want that, because now it is for the whole world to see. What people like to do is they only want the party that they are interacting with to be able to see their personal details. But then there are mechanisms called zero knowledge proofs, etc., which allow you to put your details on chain while letting people know that this is true without revealing anything about yourself. So it is very privacy preserving in that fashion. So you will implement that mechanism. You will hire a firm to write these smart contracts between the different parties. Each party will have a wallet which is connected to the blockchain. At the time that the transaction needs to be done, the buyer, seller both need to initiate a transaction. You also have the ability to have multi-signature wallets. So multiple parties need to sign it together, and only then does the transaction go through. So you'll have to use a tool like these, and then the smart contract will get executed, and it'll reflect on the chain.
Thank you very much.
Cool. Okay, so if no other questions are there, I would really like to acknowledge, my colleagues over here who've worked pretty hard, as you can make out from the number of slides, on this deck. So Raghav and Advait, who have, gone through dozens, maybe hundreds of articles, to put this deck together and compiling it in the way it is. My colleagues Kavya, Ananya, and Harsha, and Asit, who have left no stone unturned to ensure that internally things are managed. There's a Zoom account created, and the people are sent a calendar invite. We intentionally didn't market it too much, but a little bit of what you would have seen on my LinkedIn profile or Labs LinkedIn profiles, etc., would have come over here. So, kudos to them as well. It's been fantastic. And thank you all for being over here till the very end. My throat's really hurting. I hope that this was valuable for you.